The boxer pressed her nose to the baby monitor every morning at 6 a.m. Not the camera, not the base unit, the monitor itself. The handheld receiver that sat on the nightstand beside Helen Cho's bed, glowing green, broadcasting the sound of her 11-month-old son Dylan's breathing from the nursery across the hall. Rosie would approach the nightstand on Helen's side of the bed, place both front paws on the edge of the mattress, and press her nose against the speaker grill. Eyes closed. 30 seconds of sustained contact, then she would lower her paws and go to the nursery door. Every morning, for 3 weeks. Before Helen was awake, her husband James had been the first to notice. He was an early riser, and he had watched Rosie perform the ritual 8 times before he mentioned it. She listens to the monitor, he said. Helen said that was impossible. Dogs don't understand baby monitors. James said that's correct, and yet she does it every morning, and she goes to the nursery after. Helen set her alarm for 5:59 a.m. At 6 a.m., Rosie approached the nightstand, placed her paws on the mattress, pressed her nose to the speaker, eyes closed. 30 seconds. Then, the nursery door. Helen followed. If you stay for stories about the ones who listen to things we put technology between ourselves and subscribe to heartbeats and paws. Inside the nursery, Rosie went to the crib, placed her front paws on the rail, and pressed her nose against Dylan's chest. Same, sustained contact. Eyes closed. Then she lowered her paws and lay down on the nursery rug. The respiratory pediatrician Helen called that day. After watching Rosie repeat the ritual 3 mornings in succession, said something that Helen would remember for years. Bring him in. The appointment revealed that Dylan had mild tachycardia, a resting heart rate of 160 beats per minute. Normal range for an 11-month-old is 80 to 140, not dangerously elevated, but consistently above range. The cardiologist who followed up found a small atrial septal defect, a hole between the 2 upper chambers of the heart, approximately 4 millimeters in diameter. Common, often undetected in infancy, typically requires intervention when larger than 10 millimeters or causing symptoms. Dylan's defect was 4 millimeters, below intervention threshold. The cardiologist placed him on a monitoring protocol, echocardiogram, at 6 months, then annually. If it's still 4 millimeters at age 5, it may close on its own, the cardiologist said. We watch and we wait. Helen asked what had prompted her to bring Dylan in. She told the cardiologist about Rosie. The dog was detecting the abnormal heart rhythm, the cardiologist said. Boxers are a breed with documented cardiac sensitivity. They're one of the most cardiac-prone dog breeds. They develop heart conditions at higher rates than most breeds. Their olfactory and auditory sensitivity to cardiac rhythm irregularities is well established in the veterinary literature. A breed that knows what heart problems smell like, because they carry them. Has your dog ever pressed their nose against something electronic? A phone? A monitor? A speaker? In a way that seemed deliberate? Tell us. Interfaces, don't stop them. They listen through. The 6-month echocardiogram showed the defect had not grown. 4 millimeters. Stable. The cardiologist said the prognosis was excellent. Helen kept the baby monitor on the nightstand, but she began leaving the volume higher, loud enough to hear clearly from the bed, not just as background noise. Rosie still pressed her nose to the speaker grill every morning. 30 seconds. Eyes closed. Then the nursery. James asked the cardiologist if the dog could detect the difference between the defect-related tachycardia and normal infant heart rate through a monitor speaker. Dogs can hear frequencies between 40 hertz and 65 kilohertz, the cardiologist said. The heart's electrical activity produces sounds below and above normal human hearing range. Whether she's hearing it through the monitor, detecting it from across the hall directly, or smelling the biochemical markers, I can't tell you which. I can tell you she was more sensitive to this than any instrument in your house. Every heartbeat that gets heard deserves the one who heard it. Subscribe to Heartbeats and Paws. Dylan turned 2 the following spring. His annual echocardiogram showed the defect had decreased to 3 millimeters. The cardiologist said some defects close spontaneously during the first years of life. He may not need any intervention at all, the cardiologist said. Helen told Rosie that evening. She sat on the nursery floor with the boxer beside her, Dylan crawling across the rug toward his toy bin. Rosie watched Dylan with the focused attention she had maintained every morning for 18 months. Helen pressed her ear against Rosie's chest. The dog's heart beat steady and strong, the heart of a boxer, a breed that carries cardiac risk in its genes, that lives with the awareness of what an irregular rhythm means because many of them have felt it from the inside. She knew what was wrong in the nursery because she knew what it felt like in her own chest. That's not training. That's recognition. She heard it in the monitor. She heard it through the wall. She heard it in the biochemistry of a small body's breath. And every morning at 6 a.m., she went to check on the heartbeat that wasn't quite right, until the day it was.